Today, in this video, let's measure what is the state of health of the battery of electric vehicle. Before we do that, let me talk about a little bit what is the state of health. And the state of health is the amount of degradation the battery has done during a period of time. To illustrate that, I have a battery cell made by Samsung. You can see here the 28A. This is the amount of power that the battery can give, which is 2.8 amps per 1 hour. And this is set by the factory. Whenever the cell is leaving the factory, the manufacturer is measuring what is the battery capacity and is labeling this into the battery. But when I measure this, you can see I have measured 1.4 amps the cell can deliver for 1 hour, which means that this battery cell has a degradation of around 50%. I'm measuring the battery using this kind of meters. They are made especially for this cells 18.60. You just put the cell like this, and this meter, what it's doing is charging the battery all the way to the top to 4.2 volts, discharged all the way to the bottom, which is 3 volts, measure the amount of power the battery can deliver, and calculate that based on the time. So that's how easy it is to calculate what is the state of health of one battery. What about state of health of an electric vehicle? This battery has a very small capacity in regards with the electric vehicle, because here, for example, my car has 18.7 kilowatt of power on the battery, and it's not very easy to measure using some kind of tools like this. What I have seen in most of the videos on YouTube is that the people are measuring the battery capacity during the charge process. For example, they discharge the car to the bottom, or at least some percentage to the bottom, then charge all the way to the top, and check what is the amount of power that is delivered to the car. But that's in most cases include a lot of heat during the process, and the error there is also big because of the heating and the conversion of the power. The other thing that I have seen people are doing is they charge the car all the way to the top, the car battery all the way to the top, then drive to the road unless the battery is drained, and then measure what is the battery capacity. The key factor for measuring the state of health is to create a repeatable way of discharging the battery from the top to the bottom. And this way, I think, is the best whenever the car sits in still position, and then you put some load to the car that can drain the battery from the top to the bottom. Because if you're driving it today, your driving behavior will not be the same as after a year, or your driving style will not be the same after a year. The traffic will not be the same after a year. The temperature will not be the same after 1 year. So there's a lot of factors that can give an error whenever you are measuring the state of health of the battery and you're driving to drain all the battery from the top to the bottom. So my way of doing that is to use the car heater, turn the car heater on the maximum power during the winter, and drain all the battery capacity from the top to the bottom. Then measure what is the amount of power that the battery has delivered, and repeat that step the next year, or after 1,000 kilometers, or after 10,000 kilometers, whenever I decide to do that. Let me show you what is the consumption of the car whenever I turn on the heater. Let's do it on maximum and check the consumption. Sorry for the noise, but the fans are very loud here. You can see that around 6 kilowatts, 5 or 6 kilowatts of battery is draining by the heater. So if I have 18.7 kilowatt battery, I can expect around 3 or 4 hours to drain the battery all the way from the top to the bottom. Usually the consumption is around 2 or 3 kilowatts, so it takes longer, but I will show you that in a minute. The metric that I'm using to calculate state of health of my car is this one, the average consumption, which is how much kilowatts the car have taken from the battery per 100 kilometers. The problem in this metric here on my car is that the maximum value that the car is showing is 99.19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. This means that if I drive for 1 kilometer and then drain all the way the battery to the bottom, I will hit the maximum number that is shown here, so my calculation will not be correct. In order to have the correct calculation, I have found this dependency that you need to drive as much kilometers as bigger is your battery. For example, my car is 18.7 kilowatt hours, so I need to drive at least 90 kilometers in order the measurement to work. For example, if you have a car with 36 kilowatt hour battery, you need to drive 36 kilometers, or let's say 40 kilometers before you park the car in the garage and start draining the battery via the heater. So, what are the steps for the successful test of the state of health of one battery? First is charge the battery as low as possible using the AC charger all the way to 100%. The second thing is find a road with at least the minimum amount of stops and the minimum amount of traffic that you can go with the distance that is equal to the battery capacity or greater the battery capacity. In my case, I will drive around 20 kilometers with the road with as little stops as possible. I will drive at night because there is less traffic there. Next thing is drive on a mode of the car which is the most economic one. For example, in my car, the most economic mode is the Eco Plus mode. Depending of your car, you can have another modes, but choose the one that is the most economic. This is because we would like the biggest amount of battery drain to be during the heater cycle and not during the driving cycle. Because in the driving cycle, a lot of errors can happen, but on the heater cycle, you just turn on the heater and leave the car like this in your garage and monitor the discharge of the battery. And the last, not the least thing, is don't forget to reset your trip information, because this is vital in order to have accurate measurements. I can reset mine by holding the OK button. So you can see that I'm ready to go. So I will go drive 20 kilometers, go back to the garage and discharge my battery during the heater. This is the place where I will make the U-turn and go all the way back. It is 9 kilometers since I started the trip, so I think it will be around 10 when I make the U-turn. Just became 10 kilometers, so my trip will be around 20 kilometers. I'm heading back to my garage. I'm almost at home. I just hit 20 kilometers, so it will be around 20 kilometers and 200 meters or 300 meters to the distance that I have passed for this test. Now it's time to park the car. Let's see the average consumption, 12 kilowatts. It's time to park the car and turn the heater on and to leave it like this with the turn on heater until all the battery is drained to zero. Then we will calculate the what is the battery capacity. The car is parked in my garage. Let me turn the ignition on. You can see that the air conditioning, the heater, is set to 26 degrees, and you can see here the consumption is 0.4 kilowatts, but that's because now the heater kicks on and start to heat the car. I'm expecting tomorrow to see this stat here, average consumption around 8 kilowatts per 100 kilometers. This will show that the battery, the usage capacity of the battery is 16 kilowatts, which Volkswagen claim that is the usable battery capacity. So I will leave the car like this to run the whole night, and tomorrow morning I will come here to see the results. Hours and 42 minutes since I started the car tests of the state of health. The car estimates that there is 8 kilometers left range, and about 10% of the battery is left over. The car automatically puts itself in Eco Plus mode, so the heater is no usable at all now. So I need to discharge it some other way. I will turn the high beams like this, and we'll turn on the front window heater. Now you can see I cannot turn it on. The car indicates that there is very low battery and the heater on the front window cannot be turned on. Let me turn on the passenger's seat heaters. The consumption is still very low, so I will wait like this, let's say half an hour on 1 hour, and check again what is the consumption and what is the battery level. Since now, if it is 68.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, this means that the battery capacity is around 13.8 kilowatts. I would like to drain the whole battery and then calculate again the battery capacity. About 11 hours, and you can see that 0 kilometers have left, so the battery is almost drained to 0. I will leave it to run like this and see where the car will shut down. Currently there are 72.6 kilowatts per 100 kilometers, so if you do the math, it's around 14 point something kilowatts that I have in the battery. Something that I haven't seen before is this turtle icon on the instrument cluster here, indicating that the high voltage battery is almost drained and there are a few hundred meters left to run with that car. So we have to stop immediately and find a way to park safely, because the car will shut down soon. You can see that the test has ended for our 12 hours of running. The total capacity of the battery is 75.4 multiplied by 20 kilometers divided by 10 kilometers, 100 kilometers, and you see that 15.2, around 15.1 kilowatt hours is my current battery. The car automatically shut down all the consumption from the high voltage battery, so even though my lights are on, the high beam lights are on, you can see that the consumption is 0, because currently it consumes only from the 12 volt battery. So in this test I found out that my battery capacity is 15.1 kilowatt hours. By specification, Volkswagen is saying that e-up have available power of 16 kilowatts. So if you do the math for this 8,300 kilometers that have passed with my car, the degradation of the battery is around 6%. So the Volkswagen doesn't test the battery like me. So I will make another test, let's say about 10,000 kilometers, and we'll see if there is any degradation and if there is any error by my test comparing with what Volkswagen is saying about the specification of the car. So that's from me. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon.